Hi guys, my name is Eddie Lozano. I am with FIDELITY Realty here in San Antonio, Texas. And today's information class is about being an investor, being active duty military. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was able to purchase my primary home. I purchased a duplex, and then I bought a secondary home in where I was stationed in I duty. And I just wanted to pass along the things that you could do to be able to buy your house. I know it's getting very difficult to purchase a house nowadays because of the interest rates and number one, and just the prices of homes are getting pretty expensive, right? But these are the things you want to do before you go out there and purchase your home. The first thing that you need to do is, of course, protect your credit. You have to, when you just get in the Marine Corps, if you're going to buy a car, don't buy a new one, because you're going to be deployed most of your time. Like, in my first 4 years in the Marine Corps, and I got to Camp Lejeune. 3 months later, I was in Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. Didn't come back till 6 months, 4 or 5 months later. Came back, went to 29 Palms. Just buy something that's maybe about 4 or 5 years old, something that it's going to be a minimum payment that you can pay off very quickly. Because like I said, if you're in an infantry unit or artillery or one of the units that deploy a lot, you're gonna not use that car very often, because when you deploy, of course, you go as a unit and you don't take anything with you. Don't buy, like I said, don't buy a car. Number two, do not get into credit card debt. A lot of these young, a lot of the young hard chargers get a credit card, they fill it up to the max, and then they forget about it. They're making payments, so now that goes on your credit history. And I know when you're 18, 19 years old, it's all about partying and doing this and doing that, but don't use the credit cards. Set money aside that you're going to use to go party. Just make sure, like, hey, I'm not going to spend more than $100 or $150 tonight. And in that way, because the thing is, once you get older, you're going to have to pay those things off. You're going to have to settle those accounts at a later date. And the thing that says most about you is your credit report. So make sure that you're not putting a lot of bad information onto your credit report. Okay, another thing that you want to do is make sure that you learn how to save your money. Save your money, and don't spend on when you get. When I came in the Marine Corps, bro, we were only earning $500 a month. PSC Lozano was I'd get 250 on the first and 250 on the 15th. But you know what, guys, I didn't really spend a lot of money because the food in the chow hall was free. And when I'd go on leave or something, because I had money, I'd spend maybe $50 a week, $50 a week, buying candy, going to buy some food, going to a movie. But of course, back then it was a lot less expensive, right? So, but the thing is, if you make a habit of paying yourself first, you're going to be able to set aside, because the thing is, you got to be able to buy a house, you're going to have to get through your first investment, because most Marines don't know if they want to make a career until they've completed those first 4 years, correct? And then as you're gaining rank in the service, learn to put that money aside. Learn to what I would do is I would make another account that I don't have access to, and I've just put money into there. And then when I go on leave, I had that money there in my savings account, and I was able when I go home, have a little bit of money to go do things while I'm at home. And that's the great thing about it. And if you learn how to, if you start learning how to save when you first came in, it's going to carry you forth, because last thing you want to have is any repossessions, bad credit marks on your credit report. That's the most important thing. Okay, especially once you want to buy a home. Now, most people that I know, they don't start buying a house till they become a sergeant. You can't do it as a PFC last corporal. It's pretty difficult. But make sure that if you're going to buy a home while you're in the military, you're in your second enlistment. And then a lot of times, let's say you go on recruiting duty, or if you go on I duty, when you get to that duty station, like I was stationed in El Paso for I duty, when I went out there, I bought a house. And I already had a house when I was in El Paso, but I couldn't buy the house. And at that time, VA only allowed one loan. But now that the second house that I bought in El Paso, I bought it using a FHA loan, which is a government secured. I had to put 3.5% down to purchase the home. And I had my house out there, and it was a pretty nice house. And I kept it till I got out of the Marine Corps, and then I sold that house as well. But the thing is, after I got sent back to the fleet, because I rented that house out and it paid for itself. Now, when you're considering to buy a house, it's not about you driving to every location, going and seeing every house. No, that's what realtors are there for. And, the realtors know the area. They know what you're going to be looking for. And, you want their advice, because that's what they get paid for. They get paid for to take you around and show you the properties that you may be interested in. And he's gonna sit you down and say, hey, we're gonna pre-qualify you. Pre-qualifying entails, running a credit report on you at that time. And the credit report says, hey man, you got a 560. You need to bring it up to a 610 or a 620. And because if you're going to use a VA loan, you have to have at least a 630, 640, because the way the loan is built, they don't want to put you in financial distress, because last thing they need to do is be foreclosing on an active duty personnel. Okay, so it's a lot harder. It's a little bit harder to get a VA loan when you don't have credit. Okay, and then once you get pre-qualified, the reason you want to get pre-qualified for it also, it tells you what your price range is. The loan officer is going to tell you, hey man, because your max is 250. So from 250 down, that's what you're going to be looking for. And but the thing is, if you got a good realtor, if you don't know the area, have the realtor take you on a tour of the areas, and you select, hey, I like this area a little bit better. But have the realtor give you some ideas about how the city lays and all that good stuff. Now, this is the most important. One of the most important things is, once you get approved for a loan, there are different types of loans. Of course, there's a VA loan, which is 100%, and it's VA guaranteed loan. So you're not going to get the loan directly from the VA. It's going to be a bank that does the work. One of these brokers or banks, they do the loan, but it's guaranteed by the VA. So, and it's 100%. Back when I was in the Marine Corps, you could only have one loan, but now if you get, and this is the most important thing you need to understand, is you don't no longer have to sell your house to buy another house. So let's say, like I was stationed II duty in El Paso. Let's say they transferred me to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Well, I could keep the house in El Paso, but I'll be eligible as long as that property is rented out and it doesn't affect my normal pay. Well, I could buy another house in Chattanooga. So that's the great thing about a VA loan nowadays. Now, another type of loan is FHA, Federal Housing Authority loan. And what these loans are for people that their credit's not stellar. That's maybe 580 or above, and it requires a 3.5% down payment. So if it's $100,000, you're looking at $3,500. If it's $200,000, you're looking at $7,000 for your down payment. Now they allow you more leeway because these were made for people that don't have the perfect credit. Okay, and there's also conventional loans. Now, conventional loans, a lot of them, they go between, these are conventional loans more based on credit. And you can get a loan between, some loans are 0 because they're portfolio loans, but normally they're between 5 to 20% down. And if you do go conventional and you have the money to go conventional, 20% down, plus you don't pay PMI insurance, and that's PMI is mortgage insurance that you pay in case they foreclose on you. So after the 20%, you're vested in the property, so most likely you're not going to get foreclosed on. Now, for investors, there's other type of loans that you can get. Of course, there's owner financing, and then if you want to buy, like you see a house that's, that the numbers are good, you say, hey, plus it's not financeable through normal channels, but you could use a hard money loan. Now, normally they run between 10 to 16%, and they're 1-year loans. And what they do is these loans are given to you based on the property after value repair. So you see a house out there that they want $60,000 for it, but the ARV is $200,000. You have to, of course, you have to make the offer on the property, but you have to also have a contractor give you bid on that property. And because you have to know how much it's going to cost you to repair, and then once you repair, you're going to have enough money to be able to sell the property, and make enough money. So you have to take all those into account. Like, for example, to keep it easy, let's say you buy a house for $55,000. You're gonna put $70,000 in repairs, so you're looking at that's 125,000, plus there's gonna be another 12%. Let's say if you sell it at $200,000, there's 12% in closing costs, title policy, home warranty, and survey. So that requires 12%, so that's about $24,000. So on top of the 220, the 125, you're looking at 150. So after you sell the property, you're making a profit of approximately $50,000. So after everything's said and done, after commissions are paid, after the taxes, because like I said, part of those, the 12% entails the commissions to the realtor, the taxes, the property taxes, the insurance, whatever, if you did, just whatever, it's 12% is normally what it is. So that way you'll know if you're making $50,000, because that's a good deal. So, and that doesn't include the how long it takes you for the life of the loan, because like I said, you're paying a 12% on that property. Okay, now selecting a home when you're on active duty and you're going to you're going to El Paso, for instance. What I recommend you do to get your return on investment is buy an older home in a newer subdivision. So, for instance, my subdivision that I have here in San Antonio, they started building here in about 2005. I bought my house in approximately 2010, 2011, and the current year 2024, they're still building. But the thing is, you could buy a home in the earlier stages when they were building. You know, it's always a good idea, because what ends up happening is this: you buy a house here, let's say a used home, and then when they finish up the subdivision, well, that home is going to be as valuable as the house when they close out the subdivision. So let's say they started here, I think they started like 120 back then for the houses. Now the houses in here are about, just depends. Let's say a 1,500 square foot house right now is worth about 270 here. And back then they were starting for about 100, 110, 115, 120. Of course, we went through the recession of 2008, 2009, and plus they brought the property prices down. But the thing is, they continued to build, right? So if you want to be in a good subdivision, you know, for you and your family, and it's your first home, buy a used home in an older subdivision. And correction, buy an older home in a newer subdivision, because like I said, what you want to do is get the value once they closed out the subdivision. Now, another thing, it's going to require you to put a little bit of elbow grease in there, is buy a foreclosed property. You know, foreclosed properties, you know, some of them are as good as new, and but some of them are, you know, you're gonna have to put some work into them. And these foreclosed properties, you know, you're getting them at, you know, about 20% discount compared to other properties. But if you do have the money, because if you're gonna, let's say it needs carpeting, you know, you could, now I'm thinking as an investor now, thinking that I'm gonna leave here in 3 or 4 years, I'm gonna put something like laminate throughout the floor. You know, go to Home Depot and buy yourself some laminate, and being a military guy, they'll give you a 10% discount on what you buy. You know, and then where do I find the workers? I said, hey, bro, there's and most Home Depots, there's guys that put their information on the wall looking for business. You know, they'll tell you, hey, because I do tile, or I do flooring, I do framing, I do sheetrock, I do whatever. You know, call them up and ask them to see, you know, get some references, and you know, you'll know really quick if they know what they're doing, bro. You know, just, you know, but that's the way you get the workers, because if you go through a company, a big company, they're going to charge you a lot of money. You know, it's so. But if you're buying the material and you get the workers directly, it's not going to be that expensive. But the reason you want to put laminate is because you want it to be there for at least 10 years. And laminate, I mean, it's pretty hard to damage. But because if you put carpet in there, I mean, you get one renter. After you leave, you put a renter in there. Man, that carpet's gonna stink. It's gonna bring down the rental value of your property because the carpet stinks. Okay. Now, that's foreclosed property. Now, buying a distressed property is a property that's still owned by the owner, but they're behind on their mortgages, and sometimes they're willing just to break out with zeros. So, you know, a lot of times, sometimes, when people are distressed, or, they say, well, they're getting taken advantage of. Well, they didn't maintain their payments, or they're going through a divorce. So the best thing for them is you're helping them by buying the house at a discounted rate And what they're doing is they're not going to have that foreclosure on their credit report. In 2 or 3 years, they'll be able to buy something new once they get their lives together. But that's the way you need to look at it. You're helping them out. Now, once you buy that first house, let's say you're in El Paso, you get orders back to the fleet. You get back to the fleet and you say, hey, pues, you're saying, what am I going to do with this house? I said, well, you need to lease it out. You need to get a property manager who has experience in rentals, and you go back to the fleet and they'll take care of everything. Just make sure, like I said, this comes back all to setting up a good savings program. Is that what I would do is I would send the family home like 2 or 3 months before I deploy or I go back to the fleet. And what ends up happening, the reason you want to do this, you want to put the property on the market. So that way the day you do leave, it's already rented out. So you're not going to miss a payment. And most property managers pay you by the 10th of the month. So what I did when I was in service, I set up an allotment. So on the 1st and 15th, that money was taken out, but I would get my rental income coming in on the 10th. So I didn't really lose any money, right? So, and the way you have to look at this is, it's like a CD. Somebody's paying you to own that house. They're paying the interest, they're paying the taxes, and it's your property, and it's building value on a yearly basis. Normally, if you're, in the average areas, it's normally a 3% increase in value on the property. So let's say you do your 20 years, you still own, let's say you bought the house for 200, and then 15 years later it's worth 350,000, but you still owe on the property, let's say 90 on it. Well, you sell that minus your things, you're probably going to make like $225,000 in net profit when you get out. And this is very important because when you get out of the service, you're gonna lose that pay. Like, I was used to making about, as a gunny with over 20 equals, I was making about $6,000 a month back in 2004. That included BAH, and all those good things. But my base pay was somewhere in the neighborhood about $3,400. So, what ends up happening, it was, going from, 5,000 to 6,000 to $1,400 a month was very difficult. And in this case, plus if you're going to spend 20 years or 25 years and you have 2 or 3 properties, let's say you make enough money that as you get promoted, you pay more on the properties and you pay them off. You can maybe keep the properties as long-term investments, as long as you have a property manager to help you rent the properties out. You're good. But once you try to do it yourself, let them do their job. That's what they get paid for, because they're charging you a commission to rent that property out. They're gonna, every 6 months, I have a couple of rentals down here in my hometown, and with my property manager just send me the statements and I don't worry about the stuff. So that's what you want to do. If you have 4 or 5 rentals and you pay those off, by the time you get off, well, that's going to compensate your income, your lost income. Or you could sell the properties, and then wherever you retire, you start buying rental properties there. And I would buy rental properties cash, and then I would buy a home using a loan. I mean, the VA loan, because that's the cheapest money that you're ever going to use. And if you're going to buy an investment property, the interest rates are higher. But if you have, let's say you got 4 properties and you're making 200, you got like, let's say you retire in San Antonio, like I did. Well, you're going to be able to buy with 400,000 or 500,000. You could go to the auction, buy a couple of houses there, repair them, and get them rented out. But now you have that residual income that complements your retirement pay. Now just remember one thing, guys. When I was in the Marine Corps, if something happened to you on the field, they didn't put it in, they would, treat you, but they wouldn't put it in your record book. Like for instance, for me, I had frostbite when I was deployed to Norway. Nobody, my fingers were turning yellow because we were washing them M113s that were lent to us in Fort McCoy. I'm sorry. We went to Fort McCoy and then we deployed to Norway. But I was out there washing those damn things with diesel, because diesel went free, so we were wiping them out with diesel, and my fingers turned purple and stuff like that. It was very, very painful, but that was never put in my records. So just be very, because the thing is, when you get out, go to the VA, write down what happened to you, because what ends up happening, that transition from military to civilian is hard, because you're around people that have no idea of what your lifestyle was, what you did. They don't care. They're just, oh yeah, we appreciate your service. We thank you for your service. I don't know what to tell them sometimes, but the transition's gonna be very, for me it was difficult because, I spent my whole time in the Marine Corps deployed, and when I got out of the Marine Corps, these, the Marines are very few and far between, and the people I talked to was they just didn't understand, bro. And then some of the military here in San Antonio, for example, they're Army and Air Force. My experiences are a lot different than theirs. So just be prepared for that, because if you're gonna, this is the things that you need to think about when you're preparing for retirement as well. That's why investing as a military guy, it's very important, because like I said, you're gonna, like I said, I only got 50% of my base pay. I don't know how they do it nowadays. They went to another system where I guess they give you a like one of these accounts that you put money into it, and you get it after you're 65. I said, well, even so, if that's what you're going to do, well, it's very important for you to notate your disabilities, and when you get out, report to the VA guys. I was too proud. I didn't know I had PTSD, and it wasn't until a couple of my friends from Australia that stayed here with me, and then they told me, hey bro, you walk around in your sleep at night, man. You're a dangerous guy. And so I went in there, and they said, yeah, you got PTSD, and they give me a good amount for my disability, but and it helps with with your income, because man, there's times in the civilian world, bro, I work off commissions as a realtor. So there's times when I'm not selling, that money from the Marine Corps and VA comes in and helps quite a bit. But, guys, if you have any questions on as I do the attachment for a thing, you're going to have my contact information, or if you want to put in the remarks, any questions, I'll be more than glad to answer them. And like I said, I've been doing real estate. I retired from the Marine Corps in 2004, and this year will mark 20 years as a realtor for me. And like I said, special military guys, but I would be more than glad to sit down with you, or on Zoom, or if you want to email me your questions. If you're here in San Antonio, I'd be glad to sit down with you and see about getting you a good property to set you up for retirement. Okay, and like I said, my name is Eddie Lozano, and when I'm with Fidelity Realty here in San Antonio, Texas. You have a great one. Thank you. Bye.